Welcome to Story Time with Mrs. Dodd.
Shifty McGifty and Slippery Sam. The Cat Burglar by Tracey Corderoy and Stephen Lenton. There once were two robbers, as bad as could be, who turned into baker dogs, as you can see. And now they cook donuts so yummy and light, they run off their sticky paws morning till night. Friends flock to their cafe to meet every day and share juicy gossip whilst munching away. "Matilda, hot puppies!" cried Duchess. 15! 9 spotty, 5 plain, and there's 1 in between.
"And what about Rover's new hairdo?"
grinned Fred.
"It looks like a parrot has perched on his head."
But suddenly Sam waved his paper about.
"Well, I've got some news, guys,"
he said with a shout.
"A robber's in town. She's called Kitty Locklaw. She's known for disguise and for breaking the law.
She's burgled a jeweler's and 10 houses too. Word's out that the bank is the next job she'll do."
"Oh, heavens!"
shrieked Duchess.
"My bracelets and rings! The bank's where I keep all my beautiful things."
"This calls for a top-secret meeting," said Sam, "with top-secret buns filled with top-secret jam." But Sam had to wait for his top-secret chat, for suddenly Dotty exclaimed,
"Look at that!"
A thin little cat, cold as ice, peeped inside.
Ruby,"
she shivered, her eyes big and wide.
"I'm looking for work, which is why I've called by."
"Poor thing," whispered Shifty. "Let's give her a try." So Ruby was snapped up to join the boys' team. She waitressed, she swept, and her cakes were a dream. Soon everyone loved her. She was such a star. "Oh, Shifty," Sam nodded. "How lucky we are." And just after 5, when they closed for the day, the boys found poor Ruby still sweeping away. The cellar had never been so clean before. "And look," Shifty pointed, "she's found an old door." Sam edged the door open, his eyes glowing white. "Oh boy, there's a tunnel behind it," he cried. The tunnel was musty and dusty and dank. And guess where it led to? Yes, right to the bank. The gems in the bank vault were shiny and bright. Great mountains of diamonds, a robber's delight. So twinkly, gasped Shifty. A glint in his eye. Just think of the cafes this treasure would buy. He reached out a paw, but then Sam shook his head.
No, robbing is bad. Now we're good dogs, he said.
Back home, tiny stars filled the sky with their light as Shifty and Sam baked on into the night. Then all of a sudden, "Where's Ruby?" Sam said. "A minute ago, she was here baking bread." "Hey, footprints!" He pointed. "They're Ruby's, I'm sure. They led down the cellar, then through the old door, and then through the tunnel, all dusty and dank. Those little white footprints led right to the bank." The bank guard cried, "Robbers!" But Shifty squeaked, "No!" And Sam yelped, "You've got it all wrong. Let us go." With that, the real robber raced right past their eyes, and Ruby threw off her amazing disguise. Her secret was out now, and everyone saw that sweet little Ruby was Kitty La Claw.
Ha ha!
shouted Kitty.
You'd never catch me.
We will,
yelled the dogs as they both wriggled free. But Kitty was fast as the moon lit her way.
I fooled you,
she sniggered.
I tricked you. Hooray!
She dashed down the alley and climbed a high wall. "No, stop!" Shifty shouted. "You'll trip and you'll fall." She raced past the chimneys and took a great leap, but...
Ah!
shouted Kitty.
Too slippy, too steep. Please help me,
she yelled, clinging on by one paw as James tumbled into the hands of the law. "Here, Kitty!" cried Shifty. He tossed her his hat. "A parachute! Quick!" he yelled. "Grab hold of that!" Back down in the alley, Sam had the last word. "Ha! Gotcha!" he shouted so everyone heard. And finally Kitty was taken away to learn the hard lesson that the crime doesn't pay. Next day in the cafe, the town met at 4 to toast the two heroes with milkshakes galore. "Oh, boys," twinkled Duchess, "you stopped that bad cat. How totally brave and amazing was that?" She offered them all of her bracelets and rings. No, really," blushed Shifty. "We can't take your things. All we need is a little cafe beamed Sam. And big, yummy donuts with raspberry jam.